Commissioners Court of Brazos County will meet in regular session on November 16th, 2021, at 10 a.m. in the Commissioners Courtroom in the County Administration Building, 200 South Texas Avenue, Suite 106. First item on the agenda is invocation, pledge of allegiance to the U.S. and Texas flag. Commissioner Aldridge will lead those.
Eternal, Almighty, we acknowledge your presence as we should and do always. Ask that you give us the wisdom that we need to transact on behalf of the citizens of Brazos County, those things beneficial to them and according to your will. I ask that you continue to provide comfort and safety to our first responders, our medical professionals as they deal with unprecedented times as far as community health goes relative to COVID. And we thank you for the blessings that you have given us as far as what our perspective in that has been, and we ask that you continue to do so, and also for those who defend our liberties, both here and abroad. All these in your almighty name I pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Second item on the agenda, call for citizens' input and/or concerns. Hearing none, we will consider and take action on agenda items 3 through 27. Number 3 is approval of a nonprofit organization application. Let's see, we had to me back up to the citizen input. Oh, no, you want to talk about herbicide use. Paul, is there a specific number you wanted? Seven? Okay, well, we'll call you at 7. So, approval of nonprofit organization application for the Brazos County inmate work crew labor to assist the National Guard to set up tents for Radio MASH.
I approve that.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 4 is request from Facility Services for payment authorization for Pi Barker in the amount of $113 for the Ansel semi-annual inspection links compliance report for the Brazos County Detention Center. Services were done in September of 2021, but the invoice was not received until November 2021. Funds would be paid from the year-ending 21-22 budget.
Move approval.
Second that.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 5 is approval of job description, Secretary of Facility Services Administration, 2080 hours.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 6 is approval of payment of a claim to Justin Allen in the amount of $1,150 for property damages.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 7 is approval of the proposed modification of Texas herbicide regulations for Brazos County to remove restrictions for a proposed area because of changes in land usage. All the other aspects of herbicide laws, regulations, and usage remain in place and are unaffected by the proposed action.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion, and I think, Paul, is that the one you wanted to come speak up? Come up to the front and give us name and
Okay. Thank you for allowing me to speak on this subject. I have about 40 years of experience with 2,4-D and dicamba, much more than I would hope anyone would have. My life has been based upon do no harm. I practiced physical therapy for 40 years, and that's one of the oaths that you take. And I also believe in the golden rule, do unto others as you would like them to do unto you. These two chemicals are extremely dangerous, and any lifting of restriction does not enhance agriculture in Brazos County. The good news about the law the way it is now, and I'm very pleased that it existed, is the fact that currently, if someone cares to use those herbicides, they have to notify TDA, which then provides a tracking record, which is so critical, because right now we have in West Texas 60 grape farmers that are suing Bayer and Monsanto over dicamba and 2,4-D. And the problem is that once the vineyard is attacked by this herbicide, no one takes ownership or responsibility. It's practically impossible to get a conviction of the person who did the spraying. According to the application rules, it says that you can only apply these chemicals, these dangerous chemicals, if the temperature is under 85 degrees and the wind is blowing less than 10 miles an hour. Sounds perfectly fine. Unfortunately, the half-life on those chemicals is between 10 and 40 days, and they volatilize. They become a vapor, and they drift. And according to Bayer, they only drift a short distance, quarter mile maybe. In West Texas, we have seen drift 5 to 10 miles. So again, that's one of the reasons why it's so difficult to find out who is the culprit. And the problem is that once dicamba and 2,4-D, which are both systemic, get into the plant is in a slow decline from then on. When I first got into the grape business, I owned a farm in Halfway, Texas, which is 20 miles west of Plainview. In Hale County and in Lamb County, there were 600 acres of grapes. It was the largest area in the state for grape growing. 10 years later, there was not a single grape that existed in both counties, and it was because of herbicide overdrift. What you have to understand is that these products will kill any broadleaf plant. So currently, Texas A&M has research farms on Highway 50. They're well within 5 miles of where this can be sprayed, and they get herbicided every single year. When you go out to their experimental farms, you see gnarling leaves, and that is systemic. It gets into the plant, and then all of a sudden you get a cold day in the winter, and you now have freeze damage. Was it caused by freeze damage? Was it the weakness of the plant because of this? Right next to the vineyard, the experimental vineyard of Texas A&M, is a beautiful pecan orchard. It's totally susceptible to 2,4-D and dicamba. Peach orchard, right next to the pecan orchard, again, totally susceptible to these two chemicals. So I believe that you should not lift the restriction. It should be something that someone has to call TDA, because unfortunately, I was the chairman of the advisory committee to TDA, and I resigned in protest. Sorry. Okay. I resigned in protest because TDA didn't do anything about it. So now we're falling upon the county. And I wish that you could please leave that in place.
Judge, pardon me, and thank you, sir. We have Dr. Don Ritchie here.
Right,
And Ritchie is an expert in that area. Dr. Ritchie, can we impose on you? Have you addressed this or researched this? Because I thought I heard you speak on this before. And forgive me if I made a mistake.
Good morning. Please the court.
And we certainly respect and honor Mr. Bonarigo's observations and comments were. We're very much aware of the grape growers in the state of Texas's concerns. However, the current regulations as they exist do not include the area of the county in which Mr. Bonarigo's vineyards are currently. That has been that way since the original change back in the early 2000s and currently. The proposed changes simply say that stopping at Copy Bridge at its inception, dropping off Welborn, which is now just communities, and I went last night and drove that to be sure. That's just primarily communities. I made notes of the names of the communities, including Meadow Creek, River Run, where they intersect with Dowling Road. Those are primarily small estates. And so one of the things that the regulations currently do and will always do is, regardless of whether or not you have to contact TDA to get a permit, you have to have a license to purchase those products to start. In addition to that, the rule requires that before you can purchase it, they record in Brazos County or any county the portion of the county in which you're going to use those products. So there's still a notification or a paper trail to indicate who may have been using those products, where they were used. Your records have to be maintained for a period of 2 years after each application, from the date of that application, such that any person who were being investigated by a TDA inspector, they would have to provide proof that they did or did not make an application. The regulations are very clear as it relates to the distances, notification requirements. And if I were going to have sprayed one of those herbicides, and there's 9 of those active ingredients, not just 2, there's 9. And if I were going to have sprayed any of those active ingredients, the law requires, but from a diligence standpoint, that I also pay attention to the prevailing weather conditions, temperature, also the wind direction and speed. And so, and that includes humidity and all those things. So we make certain, or we try, Mr. Bonarigo, that individuals like yourself, you're an agriculturalist too. My job as the trainer for the state is to ensure, and we're teaching these classes, we don't pull punches. Everyone is aware that each one of you all have a right and a responsibility to engage in your agricultural endeavors. So we would shun anyone that failed to try and follow those regulations, and that's part of the educational process. We ensure that, and you look at any of my PowerPoints, the first thing you'll find is we caution everyone we're in the same boat, trying to feed ourselves. Okay. Are there any questions from the court? I did bring copies of the maps as they currently exist. I bought a copy of the map as it is proposed to exist, and copies of the current regulations. So again, we're very sensitive to what his observations are. I'll just add this. Back in the early late 1980s, he's right, the High Plains was and still is the largest area of grape production in the state. Currently, there had been issues with over-the-top applications of products that had been transgenically modified to fit into those cropping systems with cotton and soybeans. There's 34 states in the United States in which we've had those issues. Texas, we haven't had near the number of complaints. As a matter of fact, in Brazos County, since 2017, we've only had 3 complaints. One of those complaints dealt with an individual making an aquatic herbicide application in which they had a dye. Another one involved an application of Roundup in combination with dicamba. And another one was a situation, and I have it written down over there, in which an application or an applicant didn't follow the label as it related to drift. So we monitor that. I can call TDA. We have a very close working relationship. I can call them daily and get these updates on the status of where we are, so that in our educational programs, we harp on making certain that every individual has a right to engage in agricultural enterprises.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Judge, I'm asking the court, could we consider tabling this for a very short period of time and having a workshop or gathering more information on it? To be honest with you, I've listened to what two people have said, and I'm not sure where I stand on the issue, so I was wondering, would the court consider tabling it for a short period of time?
I would, Honorable Commissioner Ross, I don't think, given the credentials of both speakers, that we haven't heard the bare facts. I have long known the expertise and the work that Dr. Ranchi does all over Texas, and the United States. So I don't need to table this. If he has approved it, he is the most knowledgeable person that I know. If you know of someone and want to bring them forward, please do.
So, Dr. Wrench, let me ask, how would that impact, I know that this has been something that's been moved forward, but we haven't, I know we've had this discussion before, but how would it impact this whole process if we delayed it for a short period of time to?
We're following the way that the statutes have laid it out. It provided for the advertisement and notification. It also says that if there were comments made, that everyone has a right to bring those forward. And that if those comments were considered, then the process could very well be reconsidered, and or the facts as they stand would be allowed. Then once you all decide and vote, if you vote positively, it goes to the Department of Agriculture. Their lawyers will then look at it, and they're probably going to do the things that they commonly do, which is to say, okay, have we had any incidents of documented misuse or abuse of those products? And when we looked at the data, as compared to most other areas of the state, there have been far fewer complaints in Brazos County. If you go back to 2017, pretty much you had one almost per year. And when we looked at the nature of those complaints, they may not necessarily have affected vineyards at all. As a matter of fact, for the most part, one of those was suspected to have been on grapevines, but they couldn't tell me if it was a vineyard or not. The other two were just misuse of pesticides. And so, again, my job as the coordinator for the state's program is to ensure that regardless of who's using those products, everyone is held accountable. And so we don't pull punches or have favorites in the game. As a matter of fact, one of the other things that we do is try to ensure that when we find out about incidents like that, that we harp up our educational programs, which is why we're putting more emphasis on the fact that those compounds had been in the uses Mr. Bonarigo is speaking of for cotton and soybeans that had been altered or genetically engineered to recognize those ingredients. The conventional farmers and ranchers that we have, they're not using those same types of ingredients, and those are different compounds. As a matter of fact, the ones for the most part that we use, and he mentioned the different formulations, they're using amines, and it mentions in the regulations those methyls and ethyl propyls and all those other formulations that are the ones that are going to be most volatile. And so there's a difference in the volatility of those products. All those are things that when we're doing the educational programs, we truly harp on. Did I answer your question?
Sure.
Dr. Ranchi,
Yes, sir.
if somebody had an overspray and it affected a crop or a vineyard or whatever, what are the legal ramifications? What happens to that person?
By law, each individual is subject to both administrative as well as possible criminal penalties depending on the nature of the violation. Both federal and state laws allow for a civil penalty such that administratively, if you're found in violation, TDA will assess that you violated the law. That case is then given to that plaintiff's attorney, and that attorney then can go for what they would call cost recovery if truly damages had occurred. And so the law is very clear, and it allows that if you are injured, then you can seek restitution for your crop or for the damages that you've suffered. Mr. Bonarigo's concern was, as he was expressing in the High Plains area, that because they have things that we call temperature inversions and different types of environmental conditions than what we deal with here, as versus the agriculture is pretty much different there. A lot more row crop scenarios, and the reason that it was proposed to change these regulations is because we no longer have that type of agriculture. Primarily where we're talking about in Brazos County, that's why I took that ride, all of that now is just individual home sites. They may be anywhere from 1 to 10 to 20 acres. They're all wooded home sites along that area that we're talking about, and the Brazos River is behind all that. And so any agriculture that we had, cotton and those types of crops, they primarily are no longer there. The crops that we're talking about, they're primarily when you cross the Brazos River coming in from Burleson County, you get down to Allen Farm and you get down there to 105 at that railroad track and you go again, that's primarily where you'll find those types of crops in Brazos County. Pretty much because of urban sprawl, everything now has been converted, and they may have a few fruit trees in their yards and these kinds of things, but no one actually is commercially engaged in agriculture to the extent that we had previously been.
I actually own land out in West Texas also, and they do a lot of aerial spraying out there, but not just crops. They do aerial spraying for mosquito control, and you can actually see the drift, if you know what I'm saying. And that if I had $1 million crop or vineyard next to it, I would be very concerned about it.
And I would agree with you on that. I would also point out that from an aerial applicator standpoint, they too are liable for any of the damages that they may cause. So it's jointly and severably liable in the state of Texas. If I contract with you to come and spray my crop, both you and I are held jointly and severably liable, meaning that deep pocket says if I can't get you, I'm going to go for the other guy.
Yeah.
And so the law is very clear on all those kinds of things. I would also agree that as it relates to aerial application, when you look at where we're talking about, it would be virtually impossible on the one hand for an individual to engage with an airplane trying to spray off in those post oaks and this kind of a thing like that. In Brazos County, most applications are done by individuals and they're done by ground rigs. The law excludes those types of applications as it relates to what we're talking about. There are specific requirements in the law that if you're doing it aerially or by mist blower and or by air blast, that those are different sets of requirements. The law also lays out very clearly that you cannot spray under certain wind conditions exceeding 10 miles an hour. And then the temperature is a variable, and all the labels will indicate that to you.
I guess my question is what's the benefit? Were we to err on the side of caution because we've had some concerns expressed versus approving this, what's the downside if we err on the side of caution?
I think the only thing that we're trying to point out, and first off, again, the vineyard that Mr. Bonrigo is referencing is currently in a deregulated portion of the county to start with. His neighbors are already free to have sprayed those products simply if they were licensed. When we look at the case history, and then we're having regulations currently that say that if you're a homeowner and or a rancher, that you still need to contact TDA when the case history doesn't necessarily support that. There probably wouldn't be any negative to it staying as we are, but the positive to moving the change is that we always tried to change the law as the urban population has changed also.
Okay, well, I'm not familiar with the amount of usage of the types of chemicals we're talking about. I appreciate your comments last time we brought this up relative to pollinators and the questions that I'd had there, but I guess de facto somebody has done this. The legal process is to have a criminal prosecution.
No, it's a civil court
Okay,
process.
but you had said criminal earlier.
The law can
Okay.
extend to criminal
Okay,
if
so
you
that would
knowingly
be the
violate
TDA.
the law.
Okay, so basically if you have a criminal violation, that supports your civil case. But from maybe I misinterpreted what you said earlier, but I guess the question is so somebody's got to go out and pay for their counsel, potentially pay court costs, and in order to recover it, and then the question is what can you recover? Because typically a lot of times in cases like this, people will go ahead and we have examples of that where damages have been done to the community and people have just declared bankruptcy and they walk, but that still leaves the consequences of the action to where there's no mitigation for it and no mitigation opportunity. So I would be in favor, and I will make a motion to defer action on this.
If I may just respond to your and clarify.
Please.
The law as it relates to the criminal aspects, or if you knowingly, so I'll give you an incident. In 1989, we had an incident in Austin where an individual intentionally took a herbicide and went and put it on a tree to kill that tree in a ritual. That was criminal simply because he knowingly violated the law. In most instances, under the agricultural code, all of those are mitigated as civil issues where TDA assesses that you violated the law by drifting your pesticide. You take that case, and then in most instances you will give that, and that individual will reimburse you for the damages caused to your crop. If a commercial applicator makes that application by law, they are required to have a minimum of $200,000 of insurance, $100,000 bodily, $100,000 property per occurrence. And so the law is very clear And it's been laid out in the state of Texas since 1899, in that we were the second state in the United States to have those types of laws.
So let me just see if I understand. I think most of the east side of the county did not fall under this regulation.
That's
because
correct.
there was no farming to speak of in the east side of the county.
That's correct.
The Brazos Bottom, there was a regulation out there because there used to be lots of farming that went on.
That's correct.
That use has changed now in this particular area to, it's more urban.
Yes.
There's development. There's not
Yes.
really the farming that's going on out there in this particular area we're talking about.
That's correct.
So, it's really, I think I heard you say, right now where his grape farm's at, there are no regulations out there. We're under we have this normal state laws that we all have to follow. If we spray, we've got to comply with. But really, these regulations were meant for farming areas to protect the cotton and stuff, to make sure that they
That's
didn't.
correct.
So, the use of that property has now changed to development rather than farming. And so, to me, it's not it's logical to change the rules based on what the land's being used for rather than what it used to be used for
Yes.
10, 20 years ago.
And I would remind the court, honestly, that's the second time that this would have changed. Previous to that, when it was agriculture back in the late 1980s and early 1990s, all that was applicable. It was changed in the late 1980s, early 1990s as a result of what we're talking about now, sprawl. And so consequently, because of more sprawl, we're simply trying to be fair to those folks as well and make certain that the regulations fit the growth of the county. That's all we're trying to do.
And it would be more like the homeowner that may be out there spraying something that,
And they too
Wouldn't-
could be held liable,
yeah, sure, they would.
yes.
But it would give them the opportunity to spray their own yards as long as they follow the
That's correct.
regulations that are in.
That's correct. And landscape businesses are exempt from this set of regulations anyway. If a landscaper uses these products that we're talking about, 2,4-D or dicamba, they don't have to have a permit currently. So if I contract with the landscaper and he comes and he sprays my lawn and it drifts onto someone's trees, they too still have to have had that $200,000 of insurance. So the liabilities and the law, it's equal in its application, be you a private applicator, farmer or rancher, or be you a commercial applicator, landscape business entity, or pest control company. The law is very level.
How prevalent is the use of these two particular, but then you said there were 7 other chemical compounds that are herbicides that are regulated by TDA. How prevalent is the use of these chemicals in non-agricultural areas?
You know, that's a very good question.
In Brazos County.
And I'm glad you're asking. Let's talk about the entire state. Let's talk about the United States. When we look at the top,
We're making a decision for Brazos County,
Well-
so skipping all that, if we could just narrow that down.
so
and
the
focus
data,
on Brazos
so we
County.
wouldn't actually have where the records would give me pounds on the ground. When we talk about common use of products, then those products as it relates to landscapes, those are probably the top 3 and 5 of those products. And as it goes across the board, dicamba and 2,4-D, commonly used, recognized active ingredients in both agriculture and in landscape entities, I would have to say they're in the top 10 across the country and in Brazos County as well.
Does Roundup fit in this class of
Roundup is the
chemicals?
#1 used pesticide in the United States and in the world.
Herbicide.
Yes. #1 pesticide, including herbicides. Good question.
Once again,
Yeah,
well,
we've
Call
got a
for the
motion and a
question.
you have a
second.
motion, you have a motion to defer action from.
Well, no, we've got
No,
a
we have a
motion and a
motion
to
second to
accept.
approve
It
already.
wasn't
No,
seconded,
Well, you
sir.
can, if you want, you can make a motion to defer action after a motion has been made to vote. Does
We
that-
can
That's
vote on the
true,
deferment
but your
first.
motion was not second, sir.
Yeah,
Commissioner Ford did not actually make a motion.
I made a motion.
he,
I made the motion to defer action.
And it wasn't second.
I'll second that motion.
but we've already got a motion and a second
Right.
on the
that's all I'm
table.
asking.
Yeah.
We have to
So-
vote on the deferment first.
Yeah, if he's
You have to vote on the motion
the
to defer
deferral.
action.
Okay,
first.
if that's the case, we'll All in favor of the motion and second to defer, raise your right hand. Opposed? Okay, so defer fails. Now we go back to the motion and the second to approve. All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? Motion passes.
Okay. I'd like
Thank
to
you so
thank
much.
Dr.
Very much for
Rich.
your input.
Yeah.
Dr. Ranchi, we appreciate you and your selfishly serving our court and our county. You represent us well.
All 254 courts, and we'd like to thank you all for your diligence and the questions that you raised.
Sure.
We assure you that the educational programs, we're going to make sure that everyone's concerns are addressed.
That's
Great.
okay.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
service.
I had
Thank
no
you.
other assumption.
Okay, number 7 passes. Number 8 is approval of sell horse feeders and metal sheds to TAMU's Animal Science Department for $2,600 pursuant to Texas Local Government Code 263-152. This equipment is no longer in use.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 9 is permission to advertise for bid 22-083 crack seal.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 10 is request from Road and Bridge Department for additional funding in the amount of $23,806 for CIP 22-536 boom mower replacement unit number 817. Total cost is $199,505.75.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 11 is approval of change order number 1 for contract 21-633 with Patterson Architects for the design of J.P. Constable Precinct 1 building to add $2,500 for additional architectural and engineering services for exterior photogrammetric analysis and lighting plan with specifications.
I move approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 12 is approval of renewal of contract 22-024R for stall shavings and pellets with Queen Horse Bedding of Texas
Move
LLC.
approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 13 is approval of contract 22-078 with ADP for employment tax filings. This contract is in accordance with Omnia Contract R200701.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 14 is approval of contract 22-085 ATM machines and services for Brazos County for quick draw ATM services.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 15 is approval of election services contract with Texas Voting Service for the City of College Station December 14, 2021 runoff election.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 16 is approval of interlocal purchasing agreement with Johnson County to promote efficient administration of government procurement.
Move approval. Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 17 is approval of TAC HEBR renewal of plan year 2022.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 18 is approval of the attached statement of work 22-089 from PMCS for the assessment of Oracle Cloud, ERP, and HCM in the amount of $92,400. This statement of work is from a DBITS a contract, Texas DIR TSO 3942.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 19 is consider and take action on Frontier Communications utility permit to place 500 feet of 200 pair cable in the north right-of-way of South Dowling Road, starting at INGN roads, running west to Connie Lane, sites located in Precinct 1.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 20 is consider and take action on Wixon Creek Special Utility District utility permit to construct a road bore of 1-inch water line crossing under Wheaton Loop, 2,430 feet southwest of Tree Brook Lane, sites located in Precinct 2.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 21 is acceptance of special warranty deed from Mary Locke Nowak and Russell W. Nowak for .21 acre of land to be used for improvements for Farrell Creek Road, sites located in Precinct 2.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 22 is tax refund application for the following.
Move approval A through N.
Second.
Motion made, seconded to approve A through N. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 23 is budget amendments. Budget amendments FY 21/22, 7.1 through 7.7.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 24 is personnel change status.
Move approval A and B.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 25 is payment of claims. Claims to be paid by Brazos County, claim number 8111436 through claim number 8111614, and claim number 9003583 through claim number 9003651.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. We'll skip down to number 28 is FY 2021-2022 actual funds as of November 10, 2021. 29 is Juvenile Director's Report on Detention Population.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. At the present time, we have 26 juveniles with 18 males, 8 females. We have 3 in medical isolation per protocol, and we have 24 on electronic monitors. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 30, Sheriff's Report on Inmate Population. Chief.
Hey, good morning, Judge,
Morning.
Commissioners. This morning, our population is 643. That's 544 males, 99 females. We currently have 41 on electronic monitor with 15 pending. We still have 0 COVID cases in the jail, 0 quarantine, so that's good news.
Terrific.
We do have 1 employee that continues to be out, but that's not a new case. It's a prolonged, so everything's looking good.
Okay.
How long has that one patient, that employee been out?
It's more than a month, a little bit. They just have some, it affects people differently.
Right,
So, but
exactly.
they are okay. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And they're expected to recover?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. All right. Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you.
31 is announcement of interest items and possible future agenda topics.
Judge, I want to remind everybody that the benefits fair is this Thursday from 10 to 2, and the county is hosting a lunch for employees from 11:30 to 1:30 at the Brazos Center. So we hope to see everybody there, and Donald's already getting ready to cook. So we appreciate that. So we'll see everybody on Thursday for sure. That's all I have, Judge.
Anything else? 32 is call for citizen input and/or concerns. Hearing none, we will go back up to number 26 and convening an executive session pursuant to the following: Texas Government Code 551.071 to consult with an attorney about pending contemplation, litigation and/or settlement offer.
Judge, I think you will want to take the contract matter first, if that's possible.
Okay. I'll tell you what, why don't I just go ahead and read all three of these, and then we'll go into executive session, and then B would be Texas Government Code 551.0725 to deliberate business and/or financial issues related to a contract being negotiated. And C is Texas Government Code 551.074 to discuss the appointment, employment, and evaluation, reassignment of the duties of the budget officer. And for the contract, who do we need in there for?
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. I'm Ed Boyle. As legal officer, I've already tendered an opinion stating that I do believe that it is detrimental to the county's position to negotiate or talk about this in open court, that it would be detrimental to our position. I'd ask the court to take a vote. It needs to be unanimous before that can be undertaken in executive session.
So
Okay.
moved.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor, raise your right hand. It's unanimous. Motion passes. So,
Human resources and purchasing.
okay. And of course, the court and Cheryl, times 10:43, and then we'll call others in as needed for any of the others. Coming out of executives, are y'all ready? Y'all got it on? Coming out of executive session, it's 11:40. I think we do have an action item. Someone,
Judge, I move we approve the order authorizing approval of the proposed Janssen, Texas statewide opioid settlement agreement.
Second.
and give,
I started to say, as an amendment to that, we need to give the judge the
Appro-
approval.
authorization to sign.
I
Authorization.
second that.
Oh, okay, I thought that was in the agreement, but yes.
Okay. Motion made and seconded to approve that agreement and give me the authorization to sign it. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Next item is to adjourn.